And welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Well, today, folks, we have a surprise for you. We got D.Nannas from behind the glass. Ricky.P, Puma with you today. There's three. We got the three amigos on set today. You know, I felt like breaking you out of there because, you know, we got you chained like a dog behind the the register.
Right, it's hot behind that glass. Thanks for taking me out for once. I feel like a dog.
It's finally good to actually have you out from behind the glass.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, with the Wade Boggs jersey and everything.
Oh, God, the throwback right there.
So, yes, we have a lot to get into, folks. But first, a little bit of MLB hot stove. I mean, you just have the Cardinals making a deal for the Goldschmidt, first baseman from Arizona.
Yeah, that's actually a big move. I didn't really think they were looking to move anyone in terms of actually upgrading. That's obviously an upgrade whenever you get someone like him. I know they gave away Luke Weaver, one of their top pitching prospects. So it's a little scary if I'm Arizona in terms of, you know, you don't have Corbin anymore. Now you don't have Goldschmidt. I don't really know how you get people to the ballpark, to be honest. They weren't really that great.
The humidor.
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't really know what they're doing, to be honest, because they weren't that far off. I don't think the Rockies were that good. Obviously, the Dodgers are still the class of the division, but I don't think the Rockies were runaway in terms of keeping that wild card spot out there.
And San Diego, you know, they're just coming up. I know they have Hosmer from last year, but they're still young in the process, too. They have a great farm system, but they're not ready to win either. I felt like the two teams that are ready to win right now were Arizona and Dodgers in that division. Now they take themselves completely out of it. I mean, are we rebuilding? Obviously, you know, it's looking towards that way. Are we adding arms? Are we doing anything? I feel like they're more sellers than anything.
Again, I'm not really sure what they're doing. I also don't think the Cardinals were necessarily built to win either. So I'm not I'm not really sure. I still think the Brewers are better than them on paper, and obviously, we think the Cubs are better than them on paper. So, you know, I'm not really sure what both teams are thinking.
We could assess that Arizona's a mid-market team, right? We could say that. And, you know, they're not going to be in the Harper, Machado sweepstakes, and nor are the Mets, who claim that they are a mid-market team. I mean, you know.
No, the Mets are not mid-market.
But they act like it. You know,
that's
act like it.
That's because Will Pon's still doing whatever he wants with their money.
Because it rhymes with coupon.
Right.
But, you know, I brought D.Nannas on the show because he's a Ray fan, right? So somebody in your predicament, right? Kansas City Royals, Cincinnati, Arizona Diamondbacks, they just dealt their star. Like you guys dealt Evan Longoria last year.
And Archer, and Chris Archer.
And Chris Archer.
Two big heartbreaks, but you know what? A lot of our fans were very upset. What are we doing? We had a lot of people turning their backs, but hey, it worked out for the better, you know?
And then the feed on Twitter, I mean, I know you're always on your Twitter, D.Nannas, and you see the Raise Up community and how they just were getting on the Rays for just selling Archer, selling all these guys. Don't you feel that a Blake Snell is the next one on the market, who, my ad, just won the Cy Young, and a team like the heavy Yankees, the Empire, need another starter. They lost out on Corbin. Are you afraid of the Yankees coming to them and giving them younger players to start off?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? The Rays, they don't have the big budget. That's another thing we got to talk about. But it's always a scare when the Rays have a star, and now it's great cash for them to take. I can't even buy a jersey. I have to buy retired people's jerseys to see because I don't know who's going to be the next one dealt.
No, and
it's very difficult. Let me tell you, when I went down to the Trop, they had the Wilson Ramos jerseys on sale. I was wondering, 2 weeks later, the man gets traded.
He's gone.
Well, you could probably get some jerseys cheap.
Absolutely.
You probably can get them, you know, reduced price, as the local Floridians would probably like to say.
Them and Puma. Right. Be on the Fanatics clearance side.
Right, exactly. Right. Everyone else is on MLB.com in the shop section, and you and the rest of the Floridians are down there outside the stadium.
I will say I do
40 cents on the dollar.
I do love Publix. Publix reminds me of Walmart when I walk in. I just take it.
They don't have any up here.
No, I know. But when I'm down there.
I know. I'm saying they need more Publix
They need
a
Publix up here because Puma would be like #1 membership.
Right, you'd probably create your own coupons just to give yourself a reason to go in there more than 3 times a week.
But yes, I was speaking to D.Nannas before, and I said, listen, a team like the Rays, a team like Kansas City, these teams could thrive, obviously, but they have to make it on trade, do they not?
Or draft.
Right, and I feel
that takes a while too.
And that's a lot of scouting. That's a lot of capital to put in just drafting, knowing that you have the restriction of you can't go out in the free agent market during this time till whenever, till pitchers and catchers come in to get somebody. And it's strenuous on the fans, but also, too, for instance, the Mets, right? You have Coupon, which Fred Wilpon comes out and says they're not into Bryce Harper or Manny Machado. And I believe if you're a team of that caliber in New York, in the city that you are, I feel like all 31 teams should be in, 30 teams should be in on Bryce Harper and Manny Machado.
Well, define in. Is in getting a meeting with Scott Boras and saying,
an offer.
We'll give you $250 million, because that's not in, because he's not taking $250 million. So I think we need to define
who's in and who's out.
Right. Well, what is in for some of these small market teams? If Tampa Bay says all we can offer you is $200 million and nice weather, well, then you might as well just FaceTime him and not show up.
I believe a perfect spot for Manny Machado would be the Tampa Rays. He's from Florida. Okay, native of the 305.
What is that relevant to?
No, but also, too, they would need a bat like that. You put them in the middle of the field.
But they're not winning right now.
Actually, they can win right now.
They can win, Ricky.
They can. I think they're
the 90 wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the 90 wins, if we take a look back, the 90 wins obviously included Archer. First time, I didn't have a great year. He didn't have a great year.
Archer did not. Yes.
And they didn't even need him, to be honest.
And Eovaldi, too, to some degree. So now you lost your two biggest pieces going into the season. You didn't know what no one saw this coming from Snell. Let's be
no, absolutely,
and I'll include you into that. I mean, no one saw him. He was good. What do we think? Maybe he was like a 15-10, 3.
You're even pushing it there to be. I thought it was like a 10-10 kind of guy.
Okay, right. So he won the Cy Young.
What a
three
over.
So he was at best the 3 starter. Mm-hmm. Wilson Ramos, an all-star, didn't really see that coming either. So I think if we take a look at the Rays or teams, not just the Rays, but teams of that caliber,
more unexpected out of
right? Like, and if I'm the Rays, I wouldn't even mind giving up Snell for multiple big blue chip guys back, because you're not winning. I know the bullpen system worked, and whatever they did down there, it worked perfectly. Other teams tried to do it, and it's not the same.
It's a revelation now.
Right.
You have guys going in for the four innings and they're out.
And the other issue that, I'm sure you sitting here we've thought of, but guys like Hunter Wood, he can make the claim, what he start, like 40 games? How does he go into arbitration? Does he say, well, I started 40 games? Or do other teams say when he becomes a free agent, I don't know what his team control is, but do they say, no, well, you really only pitched 70 innings? But then, then the argument can be, well, I started 40 games.
Right, so, which is the truth.
Right, and people that start 40 games, well, not, I guess we could say 25, 30, 35, they're making $15, $20 million. So is Hunter Wood making $15 million? If he makes $15 million, then I think we all need to head down to open tryout and show him our skill set.
Either that or the bar.
Right. It's not even Hunter Wood or like Alvarado or any of them. Right. Stanek, and Romo to some degree.
How about Romo with you got the saves and the starts.
Right. Exactly. And don't forget the one out that he played third base. Very smart move, Kevin Cash.
Right. He played every position except for catcher last year. So I think to some degree, again, the Rays, what they did last year is very unique, and we don't know if it's going to kind of continue, but the Rays, and we see what Seattle's doing there. Cano's out of there. These big contracts, I say Machado's off the Rays if it's a team like the Rays within 3 or 4 years anyway. So why bother?
To me, obviously I think from a positive standpoint, but also too, you have to have money to own a franchise in sports. Am I wrong?
If you're not willing, we've talked about this, if you're not willing to spend the money, then don't get the team. Don't get the team. If we could talk about it all the time, like Paul Allen, rest in peace, for the Seahawks. He did a fantastic job. He wasn't just, owner Paul Allen. He was always in the locker room, communicating with guys, commuting with personnel, and that's what, you've got to do that, I think, with your team. We're not talking Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, I think, is a little bit over the top.
Excessive, yeah.
But Paul Allen was, from what we've read and heard from people that are in that Seattle area, are perfect. And I think teams, especially in baseball, need to do that. Football's a little different. There's a hard cap and the quarterback makes everything.
But I feel for baseball, you have this freedom to go out and spend. Why are they on such a cap?
Are you using any team as an example, or just in general?
A general sense, but let's just use the Mets. Okay? They're in New York. Okay? New York, Chicago, LA. Three of the main marketplaces. Why are they not spending? They went and traded Cano, but you know why they did that? They were washing the money. They gave Jay Bruce, they gave Schwarzak, who they owed money, so now they're just swapping contracts.
So it's better for Seattle, too, because it's expiring contracts, right?
Right. So that's why they did it, and they don't have the cloud over their head. Oh, if Cano gets suspended again, he's done for the year, because the second time is 162.
Right. Well, I think if we take a look at the Mariners, I think the Mariners really did push their chips all into the center of the table the last few years. You know, Segura really, again, no one saw.
Cruz.
Right, Cruz, Segura, I know Cano got hit with the suspension. Right. Mitch Haniger has been a nice revelation. Then they had guys like Paxton. You know, too bad King Felix wasn't in rare form like he was, because that could have been even a better team. But I think they pushed all their chips in and they said, you know what, this team is not, they don't have it. I mean, Oakland came out of nowhere, and we assume with the Angels and Ohtani, and hopefully they're healthy, they're probably better too, and maybe even the Rangers. So, you know, I don't know. If we look, the Mariners, I think did what you think the Mets should do, and you get 2 years out of that window. You really do, because the Mariners, if they kept all their players, you know, Diaz, you didn't know what to expect. Cano, you know, whatever, and then Segura and Haniger, they're just not good enough to compete with the teams like the Red Sox, Yankees right now. So.
The guys, for me, moves that I see that they could do are so evident. You know, you could send a Michael Conforto to Miami and get Real Muto. Okay, now you open up the outfield position for a Bryce Harper.
I think they should trade Nimmo.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. You do a Nimmo, Ahmed Rosario package, send them to Miami, and you get your catcher of the future, which they've been lacking because they have such a great starting pitcher, Wheeler, Thor, DeGrom.
They tried that. They tried to do that with Darno, and it just didn't work out.
No, it didn't work.
No, but he was a big blue chip prospect for the Blue Jays,
right? And
they got rid of R.A. Dickey, and they tried. I think that was a good move, because R.A. Dickey didn't really end up doing anything outside of that one.
That's my boy D.Nannas' second team, just in case if the Rays
who, the Blue Jays?
No, the Mets.
Oh, the Mets,
just in case they disappoint him for a week, it goes over to City Field.
In all seriousness, before we before we get to the Yankees, who would you rather be right now, the Rays or the Mets? And I'll let both. You know, what do you guys think?
You want to go first? Yeah,
I'll go first. Get into the whole thing about the whole trading thing. I get why they brought Cano in, but you got to remember too, like me as a Rays fan, I get very disappointed that, you know, every day I look up and someone gets traded, someone gets released. They got to build some fan base. You got to bring some excitement,
consistency.
Consistency. The Mets had a very disappointing season for their payroll as well. We were very unexpected, you know, for all Rays fans,
that's really
and the Mets really needed a big name to just come in and just. Well, not the right New York team, but now we got him. So it brings a little excitement for the fans to come back. You know, I'm excited.
A little energizer.
Exactly.
Well, they tried that. I'll give them credit. I think it got a little overblown with Cespedes. I don't know if we're going to assume the injuries are real, but they did try. They gave him 3 years, $75 million. So again, I don't know if that's the guy they should have done it with. But I will say, I think they tried in some sort of aspect.
I think a move like Robbie Cano does energize not only the fan base, but it also energizes the players. And, you know, say what you will, but players like to play with their own guys. Why, when Cano was in Seattle, you saw half the Dominican team go to Seattle? Well, because they're friends. They like to play together. They'll motivate each other. And I believe you bring more the Latino flavor into New York, maybe you'll get that rise out of Cespedes and he'll wake up the giant that he is.
In all seriousness.
Which is a very serious.
No. Forget about the Mets for a minute, because they're an atrocious franchise. In terms of the Rays, do you genuinely think a Machado, I'm not even going to bring up Harper, because I think if we had to pick, Machado is more likely to go.
Yeah.
We'll say Manny Machado. Do you really think that would bring people to the ballpark? Or are we just really hoping for the best?
Okay. My opinion is it's unrealistic for them to bring any of these big names. They're too costly. Right. You're just digging yourself a hole. You're going to have...
You kill your payroll.
You're going to kill your payroll. And probably, you know, their contract's bigger than the entire team.
Right. And
I think, in my position, I would love to see the Rays keep starting rotation of pitchers. They got their depth chart filled out, and you get those backup players, and you build up from there. And then you see those young 19 and 20-year-olds. They build into 24, 25-year-olds, and you get to see your team grow. It's almost like seeing a child grow up and how they mature. You want to see that of your team too, something to be proud about.
No, absolutely.
Like when David Wright came back for that, what was it? One game for the Mets. The place was packed. It was like they were having a World
that's their
Series,
guy,
and that was the heritage, and maybe that's what they were looking forward to.
No, absolutely. And as Yankee fans, Ricky and I, we watch Judge, right?
He's our guy.
He's our guy. We watch Stanton. It's like, all right, it's Stanton. That's Miami's guy. But, he's part of our team too. But at the same time, Judge will always be our guy because we have that connection. Yeah. He grew up in the system.
Almost like a born and raised thing.
I think, and that's one of the reasons. It was a good segue, into the Yankees, which we'll get to. But I think that's one of the reasons the Yankee fans, have given Gary Sanchez so many opportunities. Because he is one of our guys.
To right,
and I've been on the right, and I'll take credit for both of them. I'll say Gary Sanchez has gotten maybe way too many chances.
Yes.
And I think Bird has also gotten too many chances. I never thought Bird should have gotten them. I do think Sanchez could have gotten them. And you've been on the record saying get rid of both of them.
Right. I would trade Gary Sanchez tomorrow to Miami for Real Muto.
Right. And, because they wouldn't do it.
Just because of the cerebral aspect of it, he does not strike out a lot. Okay? And he's better behind the plate. I don't know when this is going to see.
So is this the next move? Is this? Are they still looking at a pitcher? Because I don't think
pitcher is number one.
Right, because I don't know if Paxton's enough. The guy doesn't even stay healthy.
And now that Corbin's off the list, now you look towards probably a J Happ.
Which they already had. So
but to re-sign him. Yeah,
right,
so he's easier to re-sign. Or you're looking at a VI trade. Do the Pittsburgh, do they want to turn over Chris Archer back now that they just sold him? They're going to sell him probably for higher because they gave up their prospects. So there's other areas that
the way he pitched last year, I wouldn't want him.
Right. So there's other areas you could look into. But for me, it's just signing J Happ again. Go with what you know. He could play in New York. You have Paxton that you traded for. And Severino.
Very lefty heavy in with CC. Let's not forget you have Jordan Montgomery coming back too. Right. If that's assuming health.
Well, coming off of Tommy John.
Right, but that's four lefties in the lineup. In the rotation. You bring in Happ, Paxton, CC, and Montgomery.
3.
That's 4. But with Severino, that's 4 and 2. Tanaka. One of those guys will not make it.
Right. I would say right now, if you had to ask, it would probably be Montgomery just because of the injury.
I would say you could realistically put Montgomery in that long bullpen type of role, games out of hand, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. Right.
I would say the easy alley to go right now is I believe Andrew Miller is actually a free agent.
Yeah, it's just a health concern thing. Yeah. He missed a bunch of time with those injuries. What would you, as a Yankee fan, from people that I've, obviously off the air, they'd love to see Harper or Machado come in. Personally, if I had to pick, I would say Machado is a bigger need.
Yeah,
I really don't want any of them, to be honest with you. We already have a $300 million man.
I'm taking all of them.
Right, you're right. Again, it's very easy for him not spend
not my money.
Right, exactly. And it's not your money. It's not your money. Right, of course, it's not your money. I think we could all agree the Yankees have really veered away from just throwing money at people. They really don't want to do that. We know Judge is going to get paid. At some point.
At some point, yes.
Right, he's going to have to get paid. What do you want the Yankees to pursue? Either of those two guys, or is there someone else that you think? I think personally, if we were, I don't think the Rays would ever sell Snell, trade Snell, but I think that would be the perfect partnership, and I think they can get a legitimate Gleyber Torres back.
Right, and you have to, and I would carefully consider it if I'm the Yankees, because for one, I know Snell could pitch in the East. I know he could pitch to the Red Sox. I know he could pitch against Toronto. And, the trouble that he's given the Yankees themselves. And if you could handle that lineup, you're basically good with the rest of 29 of the other in the league.
Right. So what's your take on the Yankees? What do they do from here?
With the Yankees?
Yeah, what should they do?
I make fun of all my friends that are Yankee fans and say, who are they going to buy this time? Who are they going to buy? So, if they got the money to do it, they should do it. Whatever
Yeah,
big names, because people in New York are now adjusted to, the fans of New York
Lights.
want big names.
Right.
They want lights, camera, action, and the people that can handle the stress.
Right.
If you brought Blake Snell onto the Yankees, what you're saying, if that was an option, I don't know how he would respond to the New York press. The guy has clutch. He's got the strength. He's only 25, too.
And you don't want to run into another Sonny Gray
Yes.
problem, which I'm slowly trying to trade him away, and he's not on the team. But thinking back, he really is on the team right now.
Well, same thing with Ellsbury.
Right. So the two of them are in purgatory right now. They're like, they should be gone, but they can't be sold because one makes too much money and the other one's coming off a bad year.
Right. They're coming off a bad. Right. If Sonny Gray was even halfway decent, he might be worth something. At least he's not making that much money. I mean, the Ellsbury contract has to be one of the worst for the Yankees in a long time.
Buddy, I give you Sonny Gray and Miguel Andujar. Would you do it for Snell?
Absolutely not. One, that means I need a New Jersey, but two,
no.
No.
In all seriousness, if the Yankees were to try to acquire Snell, Gleyber Torres is a must.
Not Andujar, who's been the reigning AL Rookie of the Year.
No, he wasn't because Ohtani was.
Oh, well, it's gonna be.
If we look on paper and you say,
"Geez, Puma, where you been?"
I'm starting my team to say it's 2020 and I want to get through 2030. Who do I want? I'm taking Gleyber Torres. I think we all.
But
at this
also,
table
you've been
would
on the
agree.
record that he does have a little Cano, a little Sanchez in him.
I do.
That laziness
absolutely.
could kill out a fan base, not only the fan base, but his teammates.
But those things, and as D.Nannas here would know, it's not as big of a deal. Like in New York, people make a bigger deal out of things. Like in Tampa, like he can do that. And I hate to say, but no one's really gonna care.
Yeah.
Like it's just
or pay attention.
Will the Rays fans witness it? Absolutely. But will will Boston, New York, Chicago, LA? Not really. The Rays aren't. They're just not nationally watched. Blake Snell brought a lot of attention.
Of course. But if you look at the map and they describe it, how almost 3/4 of Florida is support. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to take that back. The lower part of Florida supports the Marlins. You got the little itty bitty West Coast, the little spot supporting the Rays, and the rest of Florida supports the Braves.
Right.
Surprisingly.
Right. No, it's not at all. It's not right. It's not at all.
So.
The Braves have won, in the late '90s, and they're getting relevant again. It's just, look. I think what I shouldn't even call them the Tampa Rays. The Rays, whatever city, whatever you want to attach. I think they're moving. Hopefully that.
Well, they're moving.
Spurs
They're moving specifically from St. Petersburg by the beach area. They're moving to
Clearwater.
No, that's more west. They're moving to more east in a I don't know, a borough of Tampa, but it's like a part of Tampa called Ybor City.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I took a look at the map. And I said, what's going on over here? That stadium that they want to build is a couple miles away from a hockey arena. From the Lightning, so maybe they're trying to turn that into more of like a who's got it? Baltimore's got it, where like everything is
right there.
Philly. Oh, Philly. I'm sorry, Philly's got that.
Yeah, they got the Citizens Bank. They've got the
everything's right there.
And
So maybe they're trying to get
club.
more fan base that way. So I do agree with their move.
Yeah.
No, and you know what? Look, the Rays. Before we move on to football, I think we could sum it up by saying the Rays have a product to offer. Mm-hmm. People haven't been showing up. Is this the answer? It's yet to be determined, but I think we can all agree that they deserve credit for trying.
Absolutely.
And you know what? They do put a good team, sufficient enough, I should say, it was the better word.
It's a team worth showing up for.
Right. They're better than Toronto. They're better than Baltimore in that division.
Well, it's not like, we're talking about the division. I thought we were talking about fans. Because Toronto get people to their game. Baltimore, they don't. But,
no, I'm saying as a just overall team aspect, talent-wise, I believe Tampa is the third in that division right now and could be second. But, Yankees, when they feel like losing games to them. So we're going to move on. And Robbie Cano. Robbie Cano is a Met, all right? We're going to stick with baseball a little bit more, give you another 10 minutes with baseball, and then we'll move on to football. But you got Robbie Cano as a New York Met. Robbie Cano, don't you know? Rick, how do you feel? You're a Yankee fan. Is this good for New York? Is it bad for New York? He's back.
I think it sparks up the rivalry. between the Yankees and the Mets.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's kind of been lacking lately. I think the guy like Jose Reyes in his prime, David Wright in his prime, Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod in his prime, like the guys that have been with the Mets, really spark things. And I hope this does the same, but like the Yankees and Mets getting together, when the Mets are so porous, it doesn't really spark any interest. I think this does do that to some degree. Yeah. But do I think it makes a difference in the NL East? I don't. To be honest, I really don't think so. I think the Phillies are better than them. I still think the Nationals, and I give them a lot of credit for going out and making a move. I kind of thought with the Harper thing, I kind of said, you know what, maybe their window's done. Adam Eaton wasn't what he expected to be. He came over from the White Sox, wasn't great.
In the beginning,
he got hurt. When he got hurt,
it was more injury.
Trey Turner, I think, is hit and miss too. Zimmerman's battled health issues, so I kind of thought with the Harper thing they were done. It seems like they're not. Mm-hmm. I give them credit; they brought back Doolittle as well. So, but they're fourth in the division. I don't think Robbie.
Well, you do know that with the Nationals making these moves that they are having a contingency plan. If Harper decides to leave, they are telling their fan base and everybody they're not going to stop. Trying to contend. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah.
You go sign Corbin. I think. In my mind, they have the best rotation in baseball. I mean, you're coming at people with second to first, and then them would be Cleveland afterwards.
No,
and I would say,
well, not Cleveland not after this is over, because Kluber will probably be on his way out.
Well, I'm saying at this moment.
Well, Boston, I'd put first.
Boston, you
with
have
Eovaldi. Sale, Price, and Eovaldi. I would take.
Come on.
Oh, absolutely.
Come on. Price, who can't pitch against the Yankees.
You're bringing up one team.
All right, but in a big game, and the Yankees are playing them, and Price got to pitch, the guy can't pitch.
Look at what they did last year. Did it matter?
Oh, my gosh.
Ask me if the division mattered.
No, you're right.
They won by 9 games.
You know what?
109 wins. Did it matter?
I'll give it to him. We're both right. But at the same time...
Fine, the best in the NL. Okay.
Oh, Scherzer's coming at you. Strasburg's coming at you. And,
can't stay healthy.
And Corbin
hasn't pitched in a big market.
And even Rourke is.
I don't want to hear Tanner Roark.
Rourke is a okay guy, and he gets through. He's like those journeymen that get you innings and he eats it and all that stuff. He's great for the over because he gives them 4 runs at least.
I don't want to hear Tanner Roark.
But other than that, I think they are the best rotation in baseball. And don't tell me about the Cubs because you got a guy who can't throw to first, and the other one's just collecting his pay in Cole Hamels. And who's their third? Oh, Hendricks I like, but other than that, Cubbies, no worry. But so Robbie Cano's back in New York. What else do the Mets have to do? Because this can't be where they start and stop. I believe they have to go for Real Muto. They have to solidify that catching position. Travis d'Arnaud doesn't do it for me.
No, we can bring up guys like Kevin Plawecki and all these clowns that that they've.
Why don't we put you back there?
Yeah, you could pay me 1/90% of what they're making.
Right,
but
I'd go back there for bubble.
Long story short, I think this just sparks it up a little bit, but I don't think this really gets the job done. Can we talk about football now? Because I don't want to talk about it.
Way to wear your emotions on your sleeve.
I was in a good mood before I got here.
God.
D.Nannas.
D.Nannas, by the way, for all you folks out there, he has left us. He's
behind the glass.
He's gone back behind the glass. He had to sit on his comfy couch because he couldn't take sitting in a real man chair.
Right, yeah. So I was in a good mood before I got here. I was really happy D.Nannas was ready to speak on the Rays, the Mets, the Yankees, all that good stuff. And then we're still talking about the Mets. I don't get it. We're about to hit playoff football.
What do you mean you don't get it? We're going to be spending a month on playoff football and fantasy, and we can't talk a little bit of baseball.
Is this not the guy who told me, the first week in September, that he couldn't wait for baseball to be over and football to be in full swing? Now football's in full swing. We're in the final month. Tom Brady woke up on December 1st, knowing it's December and that he always does well. I think he's 68-11.
Maybe he'll break his leg when he woke up.
Right. He doesn't. Right. The Jets. Right. They're gonna spike his Gatorade. Right. 68-11. Yeah. He knows it's December. We all know it's December. We look outside. The sun goes down at 2 p.m, and all you want to do is talk about is baseball. And
I've gotten a little baseball surge.
Well, we can talk about baseball for a half hour.
And it's the hot stove. And
it is the hot stove. But I'm freezing here, so let's talk about football.
Thirdly, football will be there. But you know what? Rick wants to move on the football. We're gonna move on the football, people. But congrats to the Mets for getting Robbie Cano, and let's not leave out Diaz, because I think that makes the deal a little bit sweeter, because you get a top 10 closer.
I just don't. Right. I don't like to see these closers that have an amazing season. People kind of think that they're all gung-ho, that he's the next Kimbrel or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, Rivera did it forever, and no one's comparing him to that. But, we've seen these guys have, a good year or two. Like, Zach Britton had one really good season, and he wasn't so good with the Yankees. I know he was hurt, but, it's very difficult to be a great closer year in, year out. So we'll have to see what he does, but who knows.
Okay. Well, we'll get into some football since you're itching for it. So, week 14, all right? And fantasy owners out there, it's the playoff time. We are deeply saddened if you missed out on the playoffs, but like I always tell Rick, that's why God makes tomorrow, and that's why God makes next year. So, look forward to next year. But for those who did make the playoffs, week 14 is upon you. This is Thursday and Thursday Night Football. Get your lineup in. Kareem Hunt. You own Kareem Hunt going into the playoffs. What is your contingency plan, Rick? As a fantasy owner, and, we'll go from fantasy to reality. But first, let's start on the fantasy side. What do you do if you have Kareem Hunt?
I'm going to speak on personal experience. If you're listening out there, whenever you might be listening, if you know fantasy football, Kareem Hunt obviously, had all the videos come out. He basically claimed it was no big deal when he spoke to the Chiefs. The NFL got in contact with the Chiefs, and the Chiefs said, Kareem told us it was no big deal. They never really investigated. Long story short, we don't want to get into it. I owned Kareem Hunt. I owned A.J. Green. I owned James Conner. I'm the 1 seed. My season is essentially over at this point. James Conner's hurt. I have a bye this week, so I don't need James Conner, and he might be back next week.
Time to plan ahead, my friend.
A.J. Green is on the IR.
You got to win 2 games.
Kareem Hunt is done. But those are my best players, though.
I understand that.
I feel bad if it's one guy. And Julio Jones went out with a hand injury.
Tell me you got Jalen Sanders.
I didn't get Jalen Samuels. The reason I didn't get Jalen Samuels is because I did my homework. What I did, I waited for Mike Tomlin to come out and say what he was going to do this week. He said it's going to be running back by committee. Watch out for Trey Edmonds, their goal line back, the kid out of Virginia Tech, I believe. It will be a combination. No, Trey Edmonds. They just signed him from the practice squad.
Oh,
another Trey. It might be. It's a T Edmonds. Maybe it's not Trey, but it's the big goal line back. He was on their practice squad. Okay. Long story short, I don't look for Jalen Samuels to get all those carries. I think it's going to be 8 to 10 Samuels, 8 to 10 Ridley, who we know can carry the workload. He's done it for New England, and Edmonds goal line. But in all seriousness, with the Kareem Hunt thing, that stuff cannot be tolerated at all.
Right on the spot, they let him go.
Right, yeah. It can. It just can't happen. So if you own Kareem Hunt, I was able to get Spencer Ware immediately because the news came out, I believe, Thursday or Friday after waiver claims were done. So I was able to, hopefully you picked him up. You didn't have to drop anyone. James Conner, on the other hand, you had to wait through the waiver process because it happened on Sunday.
And the news. Right. Charkandrick West. Any flyer? I know people out there just take Damian Williams just because he's the
I'd rather have Charkandrick West than Damian Williams. He knows the offense, but the guy to own is Spencer Ware. Andy Reid came out and said, we're just going to go with a lot of short passes. I think if you own Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill or even in deeper leagues, Chris, value. Right, ups their value. I don't think they'll be running it as much, and that's why people said, well, you can get Spencer Ware, but he's not Kareem Hunt. He does not have that home run threat. Can he make big plays? Potentially. Again, people think about it like, oh, Spencer Ware did really well with Alex Smith. Well, that was check down Charlie. Patrick Mahomes does not check down Charlie. Patrick Mahomes likes to go vertical. Alex Smith was, oh, you're open for 7 yards here. Here you go. Make your play, 2nd and 3. That's not Mahomes. So, look, if you have any of these guys, I hope you got their backups. Real situation, the Chiefs, I don't think they're in trouble. I think they will win out and get home field at Arrowhead. Okay. The Steelers are in trouble if James Conner. If this is more than just a bone bruise, I think they might say high ankle sprain. If it's a high ankle sprain, he might be out for the rest of the regular season. They didn't look so great against the Chargers. Should have won that game. Congrats to Philly Rivers coming back. A.J. Green, I have Tyler Boyd. I hope you have Tyler Boyd, fans out there. But real football, they weren't going anywhere anyway. So,
okay.
What's your take on Connor, AJ Green, Kareem Hunt, everything that's going on? Big injuries, big stuff.
Definitely you got to get who's going to replace them in the offense. And for me, it's definitely if we start off with AJ Green, you should have had a contingency plan with a Tyler Boyd. Now, if you have to go somewhere else, right, I would recommend maybe a DJ Moore from Carolina. If you have to go even deeper into the bucket, you might want to toss the can on Curtis Samuels. So all those type of guys, you really don't want to, hitch your wagon to them, but at the same time, you do need someone for that spot. And the Connor situation, I mean, like you said, the kid was Edmonds,
Edmonds.
and Samuels. That's a mixed bag. So do I really want to start that for week 15? If in Ricky's case, he's got a little leeway where he could watch. He doesn't.
Right, I have the bye, so I can
I'm
watch.
on bye.
And I have James Conner. I didn't pick up, and I don't. Someone already picked up Samuels. No one picked up Ridley.
Well, yeah,
right. I won't.
For me, and so he has time to watch a little bit. But for you guys out there,
I would not trust that situation.
No, if for you guys out there who don't have a chance to watch, I'm still playing James Conner because.
He's not. He's out this week.
He's out this week.
He's out, guaranteed out this week.
Okay,
so we're not playing James Conner.
Okay, we're not playing James Conner. Okay,
you will guarantee to get 0 points.
You're guaranteed to get 0. Sometimes it's better than no points.
Right, but if you play a bad defense,
minus points. But okay, so Ricky just told me that
Terrell. It's Trey Edmonds. The other guy you're thinking of is Terrell.
Oh, okay.
It's Trey Edmonds.
Whatever.
They just promoted him on Tuesday from the practice squad.
Okay.
So
I'm probably what? You could take a stab at it, Justice Jackson from the Chargers.
That's who I got. I got Justin Jackson. He's got more upside than Austin Eckler.
And yeah, absolutely. And I feel Eckler he screams Danny Woodhead to me, where it's just he's coming out of the backfield. They don't give him straight carries.
No.
It's kind of like how Carolina misused McCaffrey last year, where they try to run him between the tackles, and it's just not happening. He's a dump-off type of guy. So, for me, it's Justice Jackson, it's a Curtis Samuels, and in the Pittsburgh situation, you're riding with the Trey Edmonds. So, those are the additions that you have to make because, this is what you're dealing with. Moving on to the next segment, you have 2 premier jobs out there. It's the Browns, and just recently, Mike McCarthy was let go of the Green Bay Packers. Rick, you're a free agent coach. You're ready to move your family. You want to be successful again. Where are you going?
Green Bay.
Cleveland
It's
or
Green Bay. Not even close.
Okay.
One team has Baker Mayfield, one team has Aaron Rodgers. Next question.
Now, is this mainly because of Aaron Rodgers, or mainly because you think you could fix the defense? Mainly because
anytime you have Aaron Rodgers, who arguably is the most talented quarterback out in the league, and I think you'll get him for another at least 4 or 5 years. He's just turned 35. I want that guy. I don't want to deal with Baker Mayfield. I don't want to deal with that circus show that they have in Cleveland. I want Aaron Rodgers. End of question. I'll throw it right back to you. I have nothing else to say other than Aaron Rodgers.
For me, it's some people might ask, well, why is this a hard question? Well, to be honest,
my answer would be it's not, but okay.
No. Well, you have to think a little more into this. Rodgers does have, he's 35?
He's got 5 years.
He's got 5 years left.
That's half at least.
Mayfield just came into the league. He's probably got another 10 to 15. Hopefully, if things work out. And the Browns team's a little younger.
Yes.
I also have to think the division we're playing in. For the Packers, Vikings are still in it. The Bears are coming up.
Right, the Bears are
looking like they're going to be a powerhouse.
If we look 5 years from
2 years.
now, I think the Bears have the brightest future.
Right, and then the Lions are the Lions.
Right.
Yeah. If I am the Browns, I'm looking at it's the Steelers, which are always good.
The Ravens are always good,
and the Bengals, which they could be
so great. But on paper, the Browns are still the worst.
Right.
In the division.
So
maybe they flip flop.
So for me, just because of I would go on historical value. I'm putting Rodgers third on the reason why I would choose Green Bay. And number 1 would be because historically, the Packers do more of the right way than the Browns. The Browns are a dysfunctional franchise. Yes, they have some great up-and-coming Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett, Mayfield on the other end. They just signed Jarvis Landry. They have the back and Chubb. Njoku. They have guys there.
They do.
But at the end of the day, it's the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
And it's a dysfunctional franchise.
I think the best, if we're looking, I think the only guy who should look at Cleveland at a legitimate chance would be Lincoln Riley.
Because his guy is there.
Right, his guy is there. He's worked with that guy. That would be it. But if I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm staying at Oklahoma. I mean, the guy dominates the Big 12. They put up points with – it seems like they could put us in there. They had Baker Mayfield. Now they have Kyler Murray, who I think is going to win the Heisman now the way Tua played last week.
He should be in Oakland A.
Right, he's going to be in Oakland A.
Oh, okay.
No, but he's played for Oklahoma this past season. So, look, if I'm Lincoln Riley, you can recruit the world. Don't go to Cleveland, because if you go to Cleveland and it doesn't work out and you've got to play real defenses and you have problems.
Don't be a Nick Saban.
Right,
well, you want to be a Nick Saban in college.
Right, that's the only guy that I would think the Browns' job would be better than the Packers, maybe. But anytime you have Aaron Rodgers, I mean, how is with a franchise that has a winning culture, I think we could both agree the Packers haven't done a great job building talent around Aaron Rodgers. It's kind of like again, if you're Aaron Rodgers, he took all that money, got a brand new deal. He didn't take less money like Brady or Big Ben or those guys. So
he was in his cash out.
Right. So
yeah. Moving forward, we have our fantasy sits and fantasy starts. Rick, I'm going to start off with my fantasy start of the week, and that is Keenan Allen. He came off a successful Sunday night.
Best week of the season.
36 points in PPR leagues. I mean, this guy was on fire. 19 targets, 10 receptions. I mean, he was on fire. And I believe that's one of Phillip Rivers' go-to guys against a banged-up Bengal defense and against a Bengal team who just don't care anymore. There are 4 weeks left in the season. They're done. They're out of it. I don't know how Marvin Lewis did it again. Another year, another Marvin Lewis dreadful Bengal season.
I have no other. It's really a shame because there are other guys that really deserve chances, and I don't know. I don't know.
So for me, Keenan Allen. Rick, who's your fantasy start?
Big Ben. I think they don't really have a true running back right now. The Raiders would be giving up points to us. I think you'll see.
Even on the road, it doesn't bother you.
In Oakland, I could care less. Big Ben. I think they really want to avenge the loss to the Chargers, which up 23-7 was disgraceful to lose that.
Lev Bell, where are you? I think they could possibly need you a little bit, just a little.
Yeah, seriously.
My fantasy sit of the week for Week 14 is Jarvis Landry, folks. He cannot be trusted. I love a little juice in my life, but right now this man cannot be trusted, and not basically on him. This is more on the offense. This is more on Baker Mayfield. He is spreading the ball too much to Njoku from the U, to Higgins, to all these other receivers, but Jarvis Landry, which is the best receiver.
I told you about this for a long time ago. Yeah, it's just there are too many guys. Baker's done really well against the teams like Oakland, Atlanta, whatever. Not going to happen against Baltimore. Didn't do anything against Houston.
And I believe they play
Carolina this week. I know they're at home, and Carolina has been
great go either way, but
right.
I would trust. This is the playoffs, people. Do I really want to trust Jarvis Landry if he throws up a stinker and gives you 5 points and you lose? And when you could have put in, I don't know, DJ Moore against the Cleveland secondary and gotten more.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. I'm going to sit Andrew Luck.
Okay.
I just didn't like what I saw last week. They didn't do anything. They got shut out.
So you're more on the looks, no statisticals. Most of it is
and they were one of the hottest teams in football. So now they go to Houston. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know.
It's one of those I don't know.
I'm sitting him. Look, if you've ridden him throughout the playoff through the whole year, then you're playing him.
Uh-huh.
If you have another option, if you have someone like a Jameis Winston, I might give him a shot. I know it's the playoffs, and if someone said Andrew Luck over Winston, you wouldn't be so smart. Everyone says, yeah, of course, Andrew Luck. But at Houston versus Tampa, who's home against the Saints.
And I think that's a watch-out game, a sneaky game. Tampa.
Yeah, I think they're 8-point underdogs or something like that. It's not bad. They do well at home. They do. They beat up on the Panthers last week. They do well at home.
So my start is Keenan Allen.
Big Ben.
is Big Ben going with the quarterbacks. His sit is Andrew Luck, and my sit is Jarvis Landry. So I'm going with the receivers. He's going with the quarterbacks. Okay, Rick, who's winning tonight? It's the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Tennessee Titans. Oh, I can't wait for this one. Remember this game? It used to be like the mustard against the Smurfs.
Yeah, when they did the color rush. This game, look, it's nice on Sunday when you can flex a game from an early game to a night game because you're still playing on the same day. Yeah. Unfortunately, we couldn't flex this game from Thursday night to oblivion. Just say we're not playing it. This game, you guys can get a tie.
Last time they played, by the way, no touchdowns.
9-6. You know what? I would not be surprised if anyone scores again because I do believe Blake Bortles is better than Cody Kessler. They both stink.
Yeah.
Mariota's not so great either. I think these teams, the Jaguars, they're one of those teams that you don't want to play. Even though I think they're 4-8, you don't want to play them because their defense is still really good, and they can ruin it. If they'll get a chance to play the Colts and the Texans, I think again. It's like teams you don't, they could do damage and ruin people's season. So I'll take the Titans because they're home.
Okay.
I'm not confident. I don't know.
I'll take the Jags just because I don't know their defense is better.
I think they're getting 5.5 now. Yeah. The Jags, so it's not bad. I'm just thinking. Look, Cody Kessler versus this Titan defense. Oh, you can say Mariota versus.
Yeah, the other way. Right. So it's a wash, basically. It's whoever
essentially
gives up a play.
Watch, right?
But to put a little snippet in there, why isn't Todd Bowles fired? I just want to throw that out there. I mean. I didn't write this on our thing,
you know what?
But why isn't Todd Bowles fired? Because the Titans just woke me up.
He should. Meanwhile, the Titans should have lost last week to the Jets.
Really. Hey, we'll get a better pick. But I just want to know why isn't this man let go? And I can't be sold on the fact that there's nobody on that coaching staff that's never coached before. Putting Kevin Green, I don't know. Put the names in a hat.
I want to say I was wrong. You brought up the Jets real quick, so
I had to put them in there. I had to put them there.
I'll bash the Jets.
Bash them.
Sam Darnold will not lead the league in turnovers and interceptions thrown because he didn't play all the games. So kudos to you for telling me he wasn't going to do that. Kudos to me because he's on pace to do it. So we're both right, but we're also both wrong. But you know what? Because you're a Jet fan,
give it to me. Give it.
What happened last week?
If
you were a Jet fan, are you happy they lost? I would be happy they lost.
At some point, I was upset that they lost just because who does that? You're up by 16 points, 19 points. But then also, too, I think in my head, maybe it's good that they lost. We'll get a higher pick and we'll get Nick Bosa.
And they're playing the Bills this week on the road. I'm sure they'll lose that game.
Give me Nick Bosa.
Right, yeah, right. Nick Bosa, right. He's going to make a difference with that terrible
Or Ed
franchise.
Oliver, somebody.
Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver is good if you want to get into a fight with your head coach, as he almost threatened to beat Major Applewhite up at Houston. But bets for the week. We told you the Thursday night games. I'll give you my 3 games. Usually tell me your 3 games before so we don't go the same way, but I'll give you mine.
Let's do it.
The first one is going to be, I've got a sleeper at the end. The first one is going to be the Arizona Cardinals plus 3 now. I had it 2.5. Went up to 3. They're home. They're flying high. They just beat the bad man Aaron Rodgers in the frozen tundra. I don't know how that happened. Right. I don't know how that happened. They won straight up. I think over plus 500 on the money line. Congratulations to Josh Rosen. Great win. Big play on 3rd and 23 to Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah, he's still terrible. They're 3-9. But sure, I will take the Cardinals against the Lions. The Lions are going nowhere. I'm going to take the Seahawks -3 against the Minnesota Vikings. I like this game a lot. They know how to run the ball. Kirk Cousins has not been what they've paid him. It's tough to win up in Seattle. The last one is going to be the Atlanta Falcons at Green Bay.
You think the ship is that good?
I think what I saw last week out of the Green Bay Packers, I kind of wish Mike McCarthy had been on one more week because I know this game would have hit. I looked at it last week and I said, this is the game I like. Look, when both teams are so bad, give me the points. Aaron Rodgers quit last week on Mike McCarthy. That team quit. So
someone wanted him gone.
Happy birthday to Aaron Rodgers. You got your coach fired.
Yeah.
Look, if the Packers play their best football, which I don't think they're doing this season, they're much better than Atlanta because both teams have been can we not agree that these two teams and Jacksonville have been the most disappointing teams in football?
Absolutely.
Jacksonville, we thought might win the AFC.
And they're like, what, 3-8?
Right.
3-9?
4. I think they're 4-8.
Oh,
maybe 5-8 after tonight. But in all seriousness, give me the Falcons. Julio Jones and that crew had a terrible week versus Baltimore last week. I say they get back on track against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers mailed it in. He wants to get out of there.
Okay. For me, my first game I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's minus 10.5
on the road.
On the road.
I think they obliterate them.
And you know what? Like Ricky said, I don't care if they have, and nobody at running back. They still have Ben Roethlisberger. They still have a man named Juju Smith-Schuster. They still have AB, Antonio Brown. I say they blow the doors off of Oakland. I like that to win by 11, which is 10.5 right now. Mm-hmm. Moving on to my second game, I don't know if Ricky's going to like me too much, but this is in Kansas City at Arrowhead, Baltimore against Patrick Mahomes and the high-flying Chiefs, minus 6.5 right now. I'm taking Kansas City just because they are home. It's in Arrowhead. That is a tough place to play. I know Baltimore has a good defense where they get the turnovers and all that other stuff, but I just think Lamar Jackson is playing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't... though Kansas City's defense is bad, and
that's why I like the Ravens because Atlanta ran 13 plays in the second half on offense, which is unheard of. That's why I do like the Ravens, but we'll talk about that game a little bit more after you tell.
So I do like Kansas City. They got to win by a touchdown, so I could definitely see that close game at the end. Tyreek Hill. And my last game, I'm going to go with the LA Rams, and it's minus 3.
In Chicago?
In Chicago.
I like the Rams, too. This is a tough bunch. This isn't a soft bunch.
This is obviously, you could see the Bears pulling it out, because it's at home. Defense, I haven't seen Chiefs or the Rams or the Saints, those high-flying offenses play in the mud.
Right.
Chicago, Soldier Field, it's in the mud. Maybe there'll be some bad weather. Maybe it's not. I don't have a forecast in front of me. But this will be a test for the Rams, I believe, because now they're playing outside. They do play outside, but usually it's in sunny California.
It's like 70-something.
So, it's going to be cool. It's in Chicago. So this is another test for them. And, it is Mitchell Trubisky.
I was going to say, if Daniel or Trubisky is in, does that make a difference?
For me, it does. I believe.
Is the game off the board for you if Chase Daniel's starting?
If Chase Daniel's starting, I'll run my ticket in. But if Trubisky's starting, I probably still do it.
That's what I meant. If Trubisky's starting.
If Trubisky's starting, I'm thinking twice, but I'll still do it. But if Chase Daniel's doing it, forget about it.
Well, I think the line. I think it might go up to maybe 5.5, 6.
Yeah, 5.5 is right.
If Chase Daniel is the guy.
Because at the end of the day, it's still a second-string quarterback. And, you might get through 1 week against Detroit with that, but 2-3 weeks, no.
They couldn't do it against the Giants.
That's why they're a second-string quarterback.
I would just say be very wary of the Ravens this week, only because, again, they run the ball and the Chiefs can't stop the run.
So time of possession.
Right. I'm just saying a lot of people like the Chiefs, and I could only a touchdown, but the Raiders put up, I think, 30 on them last week, and the Raiders are horrendous. So who knows?
We will end with that. Please subscribe to JFP Sports on YouTube channel and add us on IG. In the great words of Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Thank you, folks. Till next week.